Welcome everybody to Talking Markets. My name is Trevor. I'm here joined with Brian. Brian, how's it going today?
It's going well, man.
Yeah,
Nice to see that markets are recovering steadily, and so far, I think most of us are pretty pleased with how 2023 has gone through all of the tumultuous price action.
definitely. So yeah, we have a couple of headlines to talk about, and then I think you're gonna, showcase some of your analysis as well. So first things first, I wanted to talk about right now was, so the minister, actually of Interior of Montenegro, has tweeted out actually that they have Do Kwon in custody right now. So the Montenegrin police have officially arrested Do Kwon in the capital in Podgorica. This was today. So whether this is to be fully true, we still have to, of course, see, and we have to see what Montenegro will do with him. Um, the other thing I want to talk about, and this was also big news, was Arbitrum. The airdrop was today, of course. So a lot of people are trying to claim that, and also the website is down still. So I know they've been having some issues with the website, but overall, the price is also down 90%. So it's something to take into account. Um, and yeah, next thing I wanted to talk about was UK inflation rate breaks a 3 month stretch of declines with surprise to 10.4%. So this came out yesterday. The CPI increased by an annual 10.4% above the 9.9 consensus, which was the forecast. And so it's up currently from 10.1% in January. And on a monthly basis, CPI inflation was 1.1%, exceeding a forecast of 0.6%. So it's probably going to mean that there's more pain ahead for the UK economy. And yeah, it's kind of bearish news, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on that note,
Um,
by the way,
yep.
I don't, I don't know how much that'll affect the world economy, aka
Right.
crypto, by
Right.
secondary association, because the dollar, I mean, it's declining a little bit. The U.S. has pretty much expected inflation rates as of the last FOMC meeting, which I'll get into. But I'm curious why there's such a disparity between, uh, the UK economy versus the US, because
Hmm.
they generally stay pretty close together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I'm not really sure how it'll affect, but I guess we'll see.
Hmm.
Um, so another thing I wanted to talk about was Ethereum. The co-founder Joseph Lubin says Ether is not a security, and he's telling regulators this. So this came out recently. It looks like the SEC and regulators are trying to go after looks like a lot of different cryptocurrencies, and they're trying to classify them as securities. And they're a lot of people are trying to defend themselves as to why they're not. So this was a big issue to come out. And also, Coinbase gets SEC notice signaling intent to sue over crypto offerings. And it looks like this was over some of the services, such as the staking services and earning services as well. So it's kind of rhyming with the whole situation with Kraken that just happened recently. And this could also point to a further reason as to why Coinbase is eyeing offshore exchange to escape U.S. Regulatory pressure. So that could be related. And also, Coin, the shares have dropped a lot. I mean, we had this local top actually just recently, just of yesterday, at around $83, and currently it's trading at $69 right now. So yeah,
It
just kind
certainly
of
looks
bearish
like
news
a
for Coinbase.
Yeah, it looks like a sell the rumor kind of situation going on. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's sell the rumor buy the news just yet. We need to see just how scary this actually is, but clearly people's confidence in Coinbase has shaken over this news. It's
Yep.
nothing new to them, though. They have, I don't know, 2 to 4 types of news stories like this a year that seem to shake investors, and then it turns out to be kind of nothing and prices recover. So we'll see if this one ends
Yep.
up being the same.
Yeah, definitely. So, Brian, let's see some of your analysis.
Absolutely. All right, so the first thing I want to look at is the correlation going on between crypto, the S&P, and gold. As most of you recall, there was a big bank uh, collapse, especially from Silicon Valley Bank, but others by association, that occurred right at the beginning of the month, just about 3 weeks ago. you can see that the S&P upon the news had a big decline here. The crypto initially fell down with it and then rose back up uh, quite rapidly alongside gold here. So gold and crypto still appear to be rapidly connected, and staying very close to one another, with both of them making 6-month highs. Um, but I think that that might be changing. If you check this out, um, this is the overall mentions of banks, Silicon Valley or Silicon Valley Bank. You can see quite clearly when all of it was going down. I said 3 weeks ago, I meant 2 weeks ago, apologies. And you can see how right at the beginning of that, uh, crypto started going nuts and gold was doing the same thing. So essentially, when people are fearful of the dollar, or have lack of confidence in the actual Fed-run banking system, that's when they flee to alternate investments, Bitcoin, crypto in general, known as digital gold to many circles of people. So it was something that benefited from this news, until it died down. And ironically, when it died down, crypto kind of went through a mild retrace. But with optimism coming into the Fed meeting, which we can look at here, prices were actually rising once again. You can see that upon the news, that was a little surprising to people. A lot of people thought we'd get maybe like a no change type of FOMC meeting this time around. Here, it was actually speculated that it was going to be a cut as a result of the big banking crisis that was going on. But there was no interest rate cut after all, and we saw a 25 BPS rise, which dropped markets mildly. You can see that the Fed was being talked about a lot right here, just as news was breaking. And then in red here, this is all related to Powell. Powell, of course, is attributed as the person who dropped the crypto markets because he dropped the equities markets at the same time upon making his decision and having his speech that occurred right here. After that, we've quickly seen a recovery, and the current one that's going on seems to be putting prices right back where it started uh, before the drop. So we're in an interesting spot where the correlation between crypto and gold should be dissipating in the upcoming weeks now that people are less concerned about alternate investments. Equities are starting to rebound again. And I would expect that crypto starts to latch right back on to equities over the next at least few weeks, at least until the next big crisis, or crypto just decides to go on a breakout. Um, but then we can kind of transition to this chart to see about how likely a future rise would be. We do see that we're still getting a ton of whale transactions. These red bars represent transactions showing $100,000 or more transactions on the BTC network. So we essentially call them whale transactions. The yellow bars are the $1 million or more. So just looking at the 1 million or more, you can clearly see there's been massively increased engagement on the BTC network from these whales, um, which on the surface looks like a good thing, especially considering they were doing a ton of dip buying right around here 10 to 12 days ago. It's fallen a little bit, but you can still see the amount of whale transactions is a lot compared to what it was back 3 months ago, when we were kind of in a bottomed out area. So it can mean one of two things. They're profit taking, or they're trying to get in before a big push to 30K and beyond. This chart indicates that we're actually probably closer to a little bit of a retrace. This is, of course, just one chart of many, and it's not just an ultimate predictor of where prices go, but it's concerning to see that the shark and whale line that tends to follow prices closely, it's been in this kind of bearish divergence now for a while. You can see sharks and whales are doing this. They're taking profit. Whoops, I didn't mean to highlight that section. So one more time, if I go here, full screen, sharks and whales are clearly moving down, and price in that same stretch is doing that. So yeah, we've got a bit of a bearish divergence in terms of BTC. Now, what I think propped up the price was the fact that Tether, this red line, was continuing to go up and up, implying that there's more and more buying power for the shark and whale addresses that are key to spark bullish runs. But even that's starting to come to an end. Over the past 9 days or so, there's actually been a decline for the first time in a while. And it's not like it's going to USDC. That's still far lower than it was a month ago. BUSD continues to decline in terms of its shark and whale holdings. And DAI is also declining once again after that weird sort of divot and then bounce during some of the banking crisis that was happening at its peak. So there's a little concern here that sharks and whales are not going to continue propping up markets. Things could, of course, change. I don't like that there's this big drop just over the past day. If I highlight just the absolute values and I look at, let me unmerge all of these, and we look at just the 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, and 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin addresses, you can see we'll just look at like over the past week here, since the 16th, the 100 to 1,000 addresses have dropped about 9,000 Bitcoin. The 1,000 to 10,000 have dropped 27,000 Bitcoin. And the 10 to 100 have actually added, but not nearly as much, just 1,200 Bitcoin. So yeah, the three key Bitcoin shark and whale tiers seem to be pointing downward right now. And that's what has me concerned the most, especially when we combine that with these high whale transactions that are happening right now. It looks a little more like profit taking than it looks like accumulation. Of course, not investment advice. Anything can happen. There are multiple layers of circumstances that can allow markets to rise. And it's not just about sharks and whales, but in terms of some of the most important things that perpetuate prices upwards, it generally starts with the sharks and whales. So just proceed with caution and watch to see if these upcoming days begin to show some better news in terms of what the big key stakeholders on BTC are doing right now.
Yeah, let's I think we should wait and see to what's going to happen with these addresses in the future. I think I'm interested to see and to know as to maybe what the reason for that was. Maybe it was the interest rate hikes, I'm not really sure, or it was still just possibly being spooked from this whole banking crisis, maybe.
Yeah, or
it
may not even be that complex, and it could simply be the fact that, since if we just look at the past 2 months, we go to, here, we'll do 3 months. So if we highlight the price returns over the past 3 months, Bitcoin's up 71%. I mean, that's a crazy surge we've been on, and there's still a long way to go. If you bought in at 60K, this 71% rise may not feel like much other than a consolation prize. But no, I think if you're a whale and you were doing a lot of accumulation back here, it may not matter what kind of news is perpetuating the markets up and down. You may just want to take a little profit, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah, definitely. So is that all we got today, Brian?
Yeah, I'd say that covers it. I think it's a very juicy and interesting time with, early March especially, having so many crises and interesting news stories. We've got Coinbase now. We had the USDC news that came out, about 3 to 4 weeks ago, and that really shook the markets. And obviously the latest Fed decision. There's a lot that can shake things up and down here going into April, but at least for now, we can be happy that Bitcoin is pushing closer and closer to 30K as we speak.
Yeah, welcome to crypto, where the drama never ends, right?
Never ever, yeah.
So anyways, that's all we have for this video. We'll see you guys in the next one next week.
Thanks, Trevor. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.